I think the reason I keep ending with why I did this not stop recording is because there's a button labeled stop streaming and a button labeled stop recording, and I think I keep hitting stop recording instead of stop streaming. I think that's what's going on. It's my theory. Did I forget to do a start? I forgot to do a start. What did we do? We inventory select screen bind keyboard action bar. Now that's the previous stream. No, this is a little bit. This will all be one big stream. I'll make this all one big stream. All right. I guess we'll run it to have something doing while we wait for people to catch up and show up. So here's our action bar. We can select with the mouse, with the keyboard, I mean. Select something and place it. We can select something else and there's nothing there to place. Then we tab, we drag that down. Place it. We tab. Put one of these. Whoops, I have to actually select it. Oh, I got the wrong one. I want that one. There we go. Still gotta connect up the rotations automatically. Voila. So that's the system we got working before the previous stream, the first half of the stream, I guess. So now we have to figure out what we need to do next, for which I need the to-do lists. Player inventory. So what do we do here? Action bar. Minecraft creative mode select. What else? So I can do a real inventory of things that you're carrying and that you're limited by counts and stuff like that. A non-creative mode. Could do I don't think I actually ever want you to drop things in the world. I don't know that I want that ability. I guess if you need to be able to discard stuff. Machines are 2x2x2 blocks. I'd like to do that before animated machines. I guess I should do the whole thing where when you place a ramp, it places both ramps for you. Since now you can only place one of the ramp types. I can do more placeholder art so that you can place the full suite of stuff that we have. I probably should do that. So we'll start that now. And while we're waiting for people to show up, since it's not very important to see. So we'll start finishing up the placeholder art here. Okay, so we need a block type that is icon. Oh, we don't need to save it because I'm using it to copy stuff. So we want a coal block. So let's make it look like, let's just make a generic block that's like a stone block. So oh, this is so slow, this UI. Oh, the ways that are fast to do this in the new UI is just not fast in this one. Then let's see, get a little darker for this side. And then get brighter for the top. All right. Okay, so now let's make a color block, and we'll just imitate the Minecraft look for that for now, instead of imitating what it. All right, so a color block. We need a iron block. I don't remember. What does iron look like in Minecraft? I don't actually remember. Is it brighter blocks and a middle gray color in Minecraft? I don't know. I don't even remember what. Yeah. Icon. Iron or iron block. And then we have the balancer, the furnace. It's a furnace. Use layers. This would be a lot faster if I just use layers. So the furnace will make it be darker. And what, lower contrast? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, the angles on that are just all wrong. It's really hard to get that right. Nope. I don't know. I give up. All right. Furnace. And then gear maker. All right. So let's do that. Oh, let's reload that one. Oh. What? Weird. So let's make the gear maker by making this shorter. And then drawing a gear on top, if I can. I guess it should be a solid except for a hole in the center. Okay, there's your terrible gear. Let's keep navigator icon. Icon gear maker. And then I need the conveyor belt maker. So for that, I want to open up the conveyor belt. Paste it in here, resize it. Voila. Oh, gotta flatten it. Nope, can't flatten it. Flatten down. There we go. Conveyor belt maker. That's all of those. Then we just need the picker. So the picker has a little base. That has an arm, and another arm, and then a flat plate. These different colors, just to give it a little bit of a read. Control T. Why is Control T not working? What did I just hit? I just turned on the rollers or something accidentally. I don't know. I don't. Oh, okay. Good thing these all use different UIs. That's so brilliant. Select all Control T. Why is Select all Control T not working? Is it not Control T in this? Where's transform? Why can't I transform this? Is it locked accidentally somehow? What is that icon? I don't understand. Why can't I Control T it? If I last second, I Control T it. Yes. I wanted to make it bigger, actually. I think that's why I was trying to do that in the first place. All right. And that's the last one. Icon picker. All right. Done with Photoshop for today, I hope. Control A. That was what I was doing. I was doing Control A to select, and then Control T didn't do anything. But when I lassoed it, then Control T worked. I mean, it's Photoshop 6. Maybe it's just some dumb thing in Photoshop 6. All right. So now we reload the sprites, which is in UI. Let's go ahead and table drive this now. Struct int block type char sprite name sprite file names equals for I equals 0, I less than size of sprite file names over size of sprite file names of 0. Sprite for block type of sprite file names I dot block type. I can't parse this. Now can I parse this? Nope, it's still not giving me that. Equals load sprite of std_printf data sprites icon underscore %s dot png. Let's just assume those are all fixed. Sprite file names of I dot sprite name. Close parenthesis, close parenthesis. So for block type. Well, oh, I get rid of the icon as well. All right. Now look over here at my file names. Furnace, so it's block type. Furnace, I think. Now, if we got even smarter, I'd make the file names always match the internal block type, and then I could use a macro to generate these. Iron. Oh, it's icon iron block, I don't remember. Oh, iron, yeah, that's BT stone is iron block. BT asphalt is coal block. It's called a coal instead of coal block. And then BT iron gear maker is iron gear maker, and conveyor belt maker is conveyor belt maker. All right. Check that the compiles. Now we need to populate the initial layout with all these things. I did some of them in advance. Let's actually just take a look and see what we got. Yep, so we got some of these here. So if I select that, oh right, I have to do that. Now press 1, that creates these. kind of want the Minecraft way where you hit a number key while doing this and it swaps it there. I'll look into that. Iron gear. This is really cumbersome. Not streamlined. Yep, that's the right thing. That's the iron gear maker. All right. So what were those first two that were empty? Here it is. The picker. The picker was empty. Did I not load the picker? And the ore drill. Did I not make an ore drill? I didn't make an ore drill. I didn't make an ore drill. So I got to reopen it. BT picker. I just missed this one somehow. Picker. BT ore drill. It's really just a drill. All right. So one last one. I need to make something that drills. So then I don't know, how do you depict the turns on the screw? I don't know how this looks. I need to like look at reference to know how this really looks. That's good enough. Oh, gotta flatten it. No. Wrong one. What's the key to just move up without... I don't know. Layer flatten. Let's merge down. Icon drill. All right. Seems like you should make something that renders each block type and saves that to a file. Yeah, I thought about that, and that was actually more trouble. Plus, it doesn't necessarily give you the look you want. It's just more trouble because you got to manage your destination alpha and stuff like that. And some of the blocks are going to be rendered using STB voxel render, and some of them are rendered, you know, like the pickers are rendered as different shaders, and once the MA machines are MA machines, etc. And it could be in the long run that's the right way to go for this, because I don't want an art budget, but in the short run, just drawing dumb art is still actually kind of easier. Okay, so now it looks like that's probably all of them. It's probably everything we have. Why does that look like it's outlined? I guess that is just because it's not pre-multiplied alpha. It's because I went and drew some little dark stuff in it. Although I don't know, maybe it's not. Let's make that larger, which we can. The size is independent of the action bar, so we can leave the action bar at this current size and make that bigger. So let's make this be 90 and this be 90. No, it kind of does have an outline around it. Am I doing the pre-multiplied alpha wrong? That's weird. I definitely didn't draw that dark outline in there. I must not be doing pre-multiplied alpha right. Maybe I don't have it turned on when I'm drawing these. Don't have the right blend mode, or don't have blending turned on even. Okay, wait, none of this is right. Okay, yeah. So when I draw a row, disable texture D, disable 2D, and then enable texture D, enable blend. Okay, so we're doing that. Let's do this though. Let's make 2 copies of it. I actually want one of these that doesn't have the polygon around it. Let's do this up at the top. I don't know why I'm bothering to make this efficient, but what the heck, we'll make it efficient. Draw rect. All right. So, draw UI row. We want 2 copies of the loop. Berm and berm. And then this part and this part. Yep, okay, that's correct. Now these get hoisted out of the loop. These get hoisted out of the loop. GL blend func GL1, GL1 minus source alpha. Aha, now they don't have the outlines. The outlines actually look better, of course. But I'd rather have the outlines actually be in the art than it being a random product of pre-multiplication failing. So if we disable blend, how does it look? But because I don't want to go back in the art and draw the outlines, I'm going to actually put it back the way it was, broken, just so that I don't have to fix that right now. Yeah, yes, I like the outline as well. I just don't want it to be a graphics artifact. That was all. So for now, we're living with the graphics artifact outline. But that's not what it should be. Because it should be like a nice solid black outline on everything, and it really only shows up on the lighter colored stuff. I guess you can see it up here. And I really need to redo the art for this one. Okay, but anyway, so I think this is everything. I think this is working. And I am going to do the number key swapping thing because that's going to streamline building, and I do need to be able to build efficiently, so I'll go ahead and do that. So somewhere we handle our keyboard input, boom, block choice. So this now needs to say if screen equals UI screen select if selected block type is greater than or equal to 0, then and we'll switch the block choice to it. If that happens, then block action bar block type of block choice equals selected block type. Okay, now we need to add selected block type. And we have to cache it. We could just compute it on the fly here, actually. It's probably cleaner instead of having this weird stateful thing. So here we need where we do the hit detection, which we do on mouse down here. So int Loctite mouse is over. Xi. That's always doing null here anyway. It's just void. Just want this code. If it's a hit, we'll return that. No, this doesn't know which row it is, so I can't actually share that code yet. That's okay though. It's close to being shareable. So then does that compile? Yes. Did I do everything I need to do? I don't remember. If I hit 2, 3, 1, yeah. Okay, that's nice. Now I want to change tab to be a toggle instead of you having to hold it down. This box is totally wrong. UI screen. I'm sure I did not mean that to be an assignment. That I meant to be an assignment. There you go. Thank you. I didn't bother checking whether 1 to 9 still worked normally in the other thing, and in fact they would not have. So I want to make this a tab, a thing, and in fact let's make it be the inventory key, which is what, E in Minecraft? In which case we can put the fast forward back to tab. What happened to fast forward? There it is. If UI screen does not equal UI screen none, then UI screen equals UI screen none. So if it's anything else, that means close it. Otherwise, it brings up the select screen. Repeats the layout. What else was there? What was I doing when I got distracted by that? The UI screen. Oh, right. I'm just trying to make it a toggle. So I need to also make the down not do anything. Okay. E, 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 E. Doesn't feel very clean. Does Minecraft reset the mouse point to the center when you bring it back up? I think it does. I think that's maybe what I'm missing here. Yeah. I intentionally didn't do that because I thought it might feel better the other way, but it does not. All right, so when we decide to bring up the screen, we set mouse x equals screen x over 2, mouse y equals screen y over 2. Actually, we can just set first mouse equal true. And the very next thing we'll do that. So E, E, E. Yeah, I guess that feels better. To teach programmers about physics, what? Anyway, so thank you for the bug report. Yes, you saved me some futzing. What game engine and programming language do you think is the best to teach programmers about physics? So I'm decided that I basically don't answer how to learn questions because I just don't know. I'm too far removed from learning, and I don't teach people, so I don't really know where the right place to start is for just about anything. Even if it's something more advanced like physics, I don't really know. I mean, teaching programs about physics means many different things. Teaching people how things physically behave, teaching how things physically behave in games, teaching people how to write physics code. How to write physics code that uses an existing physics engine is very different than writing your own physics code. There's writing a proper physics engine, and there's writing a hacky physics engine, like we have that I have in all my games is a hacky physics engine. So I don't know. I'm just bailing on any of that. All right, so now we've got all that going. Let's go ahead and commit that. So what did we do? Oh, I never finished my STBGL refactor here. So these are all OBBG now. They don't even really need the prefix. I could just have them be plain, but whatever. Wait, so I don't want to fix this one. Where was the last one? I forgot that I have to actually do fix-ups, so I don't want to change them unless I'm going to do the fix-up. This one is STBGL still. It's only in that one place that I actually want to fix them. So, which is this function. Okay, so we moved that out, so now we can say GL begin, GL quads, GL end. And this can use OBBG, 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 OBBG. Can't change the texture though here, so. But if I put those back into a texture array, I can, and so that's probably the right thing to do for those. Some knock at the door. I'll be right back. Just a package. Physics. Does any company use C to make commercial games anymore? No, they're probably mostly C++. There are definitely people in my peer group, people who also use C, but it's pretty uncommon. As the more you get to a larger team, the more likely you are to be using C++. It looks so professional. How long have you been coding on VB, C++, SIR? Be that skilled. So I don't even know what any Visual Basic C++, SIR. I don't even know what SIR is. But anyway, yeah, I've been programming for 37 years, and I've been programming C for 87, 86. I forget when I learned C. Somewhere between 86 and 88, because I was using Pascal for a bit. So somewhere probably between 86 and 88. So 30 years of C. Plus or minus. And then I learned C++ after that. And then I used C++ for a long time, and then I went back to C. Yeah, AAA games are going to be all C++. Oh, SIR. SIR. It wasn't an acronym. It was, you were just capitalizing the word SIR. And Visual Studio, I'm using VC6, which came out in 1998. So I've actually been using the same compiler for 18 years. I probably used VC5 before that. All right, so where am I? What was I doing? I did the keybind thing. I moved it to E. What was the thing I was about to do when I got distracted by the door knock? I just rewritten that stuff to the draw rects. So it used one set of quads. I need to do the same fix for here. If I make a white sprite, then we could do all of this inside one quad array, which would be nice. Shouldn't really matter. Drawing 50 or 100 draw calls, this shouldn't be that big a deal. So what have we done? I'll include the other keyboard thing I did here. So then, I just changed the spacing of that. So it's whatever was in the, it's mostly just what was in the last check-in. Yeah, all I've done is that tweak to that thing. Yeah, I'll count all that as what's already labeled. So then that's just a tweaky optimization. Let's see. Okay. All right. So what am I doing? What was the current status of things? Like, what is my feeling about this? So I bring that up. I can select a thing. It didn't work. Okay. Okay, that's not highlighting the right one. It's not computing the size correctly. The size of that thing. I thought I intentionally pulled it. Oh, maybe I pulled it out of action. No, I thought I pulled it out of inventory. Where do I do the hit detect coordinates? Get coordinates. Hit detect row. Uses the mbox. Hit detect row. So the dropping code is on mouse up. Hit detect row shape. I hard-coded this. It actually needs to be UI inventory of 0.x size UI inventory. Okay, let's fix this while we're at it. So I was doing this little hacky contract. So let's take out the hacky contract and take a look at what happens. All right, so now, so one of the things this code does is if I click here and drag versus click here and drag, if I click here and drag, right, it stays anchored to the same spot. So now when I try to drop this on here, it's not computing it correctly. It's using the mouse coordinate. It's not using the box coordinate, but it should be using the box coordinate. And maybe it is using the box coordinate. No, because the vertical is just wrong. Why is this wrong? That makes shape.y1 really big. And then we go to hit detect row. And we walk along the row. And the box should be correct. It shouldn't replace it with the 0 box. And then y0 less than y1, y1 greater than y0. That should be true. All right. I should be able to alt tab now because I'm not using tab. So we tab or E. We drag. Oh wait, we want to drag from that side. Okay, now we want to breakpoint this. Oh, our cursor was in a terrible place. Why is it not even hitting this code? Oh, that's only on mouse up. Right, I want the hit detector one, which is in the render code. It's right here. All right. Step in. All right, our mbox, or a box is pointing to, why is it only 16? Oh, because I replaced this in the wrong place. All right. I have 2 copies of this code. As I said, the problem with not using IMGUI is you end up with 2 copies of your code. So, size This should actually just be in the state of what you're dragging should just carry this. And we delete that. Okay, now let's see how it behaves. And it might still, there might still be a bug, but even if there isn't a bug, there is a misdesign that I'm trying to test here. Wait, I want to grab it from the top left. Okay, so the design is if it overlaps two things, it always picks the left one. So see, it's just barely overlapping the left one, so it's picking that one. All right, so hit detect row needs to actually detect best. Int float best overlap. So if they overlap, then we want to find the area of the overlap. These floats now, they're floats. That's y plus box. X1, oops, y0, y0. And max. Float overlap equals x max minus x min times y max minus y min. If overlap greater than best overlap equals I is overlap. Best I equals I. Boom, we pulled up the max. Now we return the best I. Okay, that should fix that bug. EnviroBear guy also does this. Interesting. So now, okay, that's not right. Oh, well, it doesn't know about the shape. It's looking at the whole box. We really need to draw the box. All right, so where we're drawing the ghost, where do we draw that? Dragging. If we're dragging, where do we draw the dragging thing? Here. Here's where we're drawing. Okay. If we're dragging, GL color 3F should have been in there all along. So then before we draw that, we do a GL color 4F. It's pre-multiplied, so I have to use the same thing for all of them. GL draw rect. Same shape. Which means this computation has to be at the top. So then we draw that. Enable that, draw that. So now when we drag, nope, there's supposed to be a little ghost border or ghost box there. I didn't disable texture 2D. Okay, now there's this little thing, and now you can see how it overlaps. And that's definitely not computing the right area for the overlaps. So I got a bug in that overlap thing. I want to make these a little bit bigger, but not as big. Okay, so it's still got the same bug. Now let's take a look at where we compute that. best overlap. What did I get wrong here? X, Y, X0, Y0, X1, Y1, X0, Y0, X1, Y1. Min, min, max, max, min, min, max, max, X, Y, X, Y. Overlap max minus min times max minus min. Seems all right. What would be wrong with this? This, by the way, is a pattern you use all the time in programming in a C style programming language. Like if you have a, if you're in a functional language, you might have some thing to iterate a list and return the max of some function of the computed on the items in the list. But this is just a pattern that appears in my code endlessly, so that you in one pass can compute the thing and find the max or whatever. So I don't expect there to be bugs in that part of it because it's a pattern that I've done a zillion times. Best overlap defaults to 0. It should always be positive. I could have a bug here. We can just insert x min is less than, well, that's got to be true. Min and max, how could that not be true? So how could this go wrong? How could the overlap amounts be different? Am I using the wrong coordinates? Let's take a look at draw. What is draw used for the coordinates? x0, y0, x1, y1. And then I advance them. I use x0, y0, x1, y1. That looks reasonable. Mouse x plus box x0, mouse y plus box y0. All looks reasonable to me. Not sure why this is in this order. You aren't using I in the loop. Well, I advance the x0 and x1 in the loop. And then I assign best I to I. Like this is pre-optimized. Like there's, instead of every time through the loop computing where the x0 for this item is supposed to be, I just used this code to do it. This was actually simpler in my head to think about rather than trying to think about. It's really actually x0 equals x1 plus row x spacing, and then x1 equals x0 plus row x size is what's being updated every time. So every time x0 was where it started, then you advance x0 forward by the width, which was what x1 already was, and then you skip by the spacing. And since it's always going to just be x advance, I just left it that way. And I could do this, though. This is maybe more explicit. This is maybe actually a little better. It's a float. Just in case I ever need it to be floats. This test is the same as it always was. That was working fine in the old code. There's just something wrong with overlap somehow. X min, Y min, X max, Y max. X min, Y min, X max, Y max. Oh, this isn't computing their intersection, right? That's their intersection, I think. I'm not even going to try to think about it. I'm just going to test if my theory is right. Oh, well, yeah, that breaks that, though. Right, so if you have, I'll draw it out. So if you have one thing, which is, call it A, that extends from AX0 to AX1. And then you have another thing called BX0 that extends to BX1. Then the width is min and the max of ax0 and bx0, and the min of ax1 and bx1. So this is this point. Come on. Why is that not drawing a caret? There's a caret. This point is that. And this point is that. So the min value is the max of the left points. The max value is the min of the right points. This should still always be true because we weren't supposed to get inside this unless this was true. Okay, so that might be the bug, but let's... No, I can't drag it all. Yes, I can't drag it all because we pass in a null box that is too small. And its area is always 0, and therefore best overlap is always 0, or the overlap against use is always 0, and it's never bigger than best overlap. No, it's still not working. All right, so... Oh yeah, because it should highlight them. All right, so we can just break in here. Let's get on the top row. So the second one should get inside. Okay, it does. Compute some stuff and compute overlap. Overlap is 0. Okay, so why is overlap 0 despite me making this box? Oh, because I got these backwards. Or I could special case. Maybe instead of that. Maybe instead of that, let's do this. 0, 0, 0, 0. If box equals mbox, return I. Else. We'll just do a different logic for each case. All right, so do this. We grab one. Yeah, that looks good. Looks like it's highlighting the one that it's more over. It can be kind of weird because your mouse isn't over it at all, so maybe you don't really expect it to work, but whatever. This one is not drawing with the outline, interestingly. That's in the dragging. That's this code right here. All right, looks good. So yeah. Okay, one of these days I'm going to figure out what I changed. Better overlap processing. Drawing the background, but that was so I could get better overlap processing. Made them bigger. You know what? You know what we're going to call this? That's what we're calling it. There you go. That's where it came from. So now what? Now what? That's a good question. Now what? Okay, so now I want to put down ghost blocks when you're placing, when you have something selected to place, instead of this box, the box that shows you what you'll delete. So how do I do ghost blocks? All right, so when we place a block, how do we decide where it gets placed? Selected block to create. Okay, so that's the coordinates. So that's our ghost block info. UI rendering 3D. Selected block, block to create, etc. Okay, so in here, oh, okay, we compute it here. So it doesn't need to be global anymore for this part. We don't actually need the globals. So then if it's empty, we'll draw the destroy path. And if it's not empty, we'll draw the create path. Oops. All right, let's see if that works. So now it's showing where I'm going to place a block. And now it's showing where I'm going to delete the block when I switch to that slot. But I go back to this slot, it shows me where it's going to place. All right. Now, we need to actually draw the block. So this needs to be different things for the picker and for the blocks and for everything else. So let's do a draw block. I don't know how we'll deal with the machines being 2x2 yet. They need more knowledge for a note to know whether you're allowed to fit somewhere. Okay, so now we've modularized that into draw block. Great. Draw block. x, int x, int y, int z, int block type. So what we do first is let's try to draw it as a voxel. So voxel draw block x, y, z block type. But that can fail because it's going to look in a data structure we don't have access to. So if it fails, draw picker, animated machine, etc. All right, voxel draw block. Put that in the header file. It's gonna be, this one's going to be complicated. Everything else should be pretty easy. Voxel render. All right, voxel render. Well, actually, I have to use Mesh Builder. Do we have the info to use Mesh Builder in here? This should be voxel renderer, but Mesh Builder has all the configs. I think we can still call it from the other one fine. I think it's okay. It might not be. I think we need these macros to fill it out, actually. So we'll actually have to put some of the code in here. All right. But we'll still put most of it here. So we'll put the rendering part of it here. All right, so what does this function do? It needs to build a, let's make a 4x4 mesh. So what data goes into the Mesh Builder? Oh, the Mesh Builder is the one who has this info as well. Block type. Okay, here's how we do this. Int has block has voxel geometry. Int block type. Return. What was the name of that? Geom for block type. Block type does not equal empty. Okay, so because the ones that are empty, picker, we set to empty. We actually set them to 0, whatever. We know that that's empty. So the picker is set to 0. Is the picker the only one currently? It's not displayed. The balancer is also 0, but there's no balancer in here. In fact, balancer never even has a definition, which also leaves it at 0. Okay, so this will be a little simpler now. That goes in here, and that actually we can call in. Where was it? We were just running UI. So this actually can call if block has voxel geometry, block type, then we draw it as a voxel. Otherwise, we do that path. Okay. Block has voxel geometry. All right. So voxel draw block. Right. So I want to see how many things we need. Well, it's rotation and lighting. Let's set those all to 0. So the only thing it has to pass in is geometry. Okay. So unit 8 mesh geom 4 equals all zeros. Then we set mesh geom of it's x, y, z, so 1, 1 is block type. And it's 4x4 because it needs a border around the edges, and because eventually we'll want to make 2x2x2 things, and maybe they'll never be made of voxels, but we'll allow for the possibility that they're made of voxels, so we leave room for 2x2x2, since it needs to do that. All right, and then we say build triangles. Let's build triangles for mesh geom and triangle data is let's build small mesh geom quads, and we pass in some storage for this. So let's look at Mesh Builder and see what it uses for storage. So let's face something. Oh, that's going to be face buffer and vert buffer. Vertex, build, buffer. So where do we allocate those? This is our temporary ones from the static one, so we just use something like that. Doesn't need to be anywhere near that big. Most number of faces you'll get are imagining someday there was some complexity in here. 96 times, what is it, per vertex? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if it were 96 quads, that would be times 4 vertices times 4 bytes. And this one is 96 times 4. All right, and so then we say max quads is 96, vertex, build, buffer, face buffer. And once it's built them, now we need to draw it. So let's find where we draw them. There's the lighting. And here's where we draw them. All right. So with that, and then that. All right. So let's figure out what of this we actually need. We'll have to actually build the face buffer because of the way I was thinking we didn't actually I was thinking we could immediate mode this stuff, but I forgot about the way the face buffer works. So I need to actually dynamically upload some meshes. So let's find the code that does that. Upload mesh. And we'll just upload it right before we draw it, which is inefficient. And what we should actually do is cache this mesh and reposition it as needed, because it'll be using the exact same mesh every time until you switch which object you have selected. But we'll just build it every time for now. So static glue int small dyn vbuff dyn fbuff dyn vbuff per quad times 4 bytes each times double quads. 4 times double quads. We shouldn't regenerate these every time. We should be reusing them probably. Dyn fbuff text. And these are not static, these are dynamic. Zero. Okay. So, static void build dyn knit dyn knit. mesh void gen Should I just inline that? Just might as well live on the stack. Wait, how big is it? 100, 400, 1600 bytes. Sure. It's under 4K. Upload Dyn mesh. Build buffer, face buffer. Enable this, enable that. Set up uniforms campos. We don't have that. Have to get that. Wait, our uniforms are bound to programs, right? So if I already ran this program once with the right bindings, I don't need to reset any of the uniforms, do I? So weird. Enable vertex adrobe array. Transform. Okay, yeah, I need to get the transform back. Which is what? 3 floats. Transform. Float transform. Oh wait, I made these static. I didn't need these to be static. Although it does align them better, maybe? Transform. Like these need to be aligned, so maybe they don't because of the interface we're going through, but they ought to be. Okay, so then that's transform of 3. Okay, so now the function we have to still write is void build small mesh takes uint8 mesh geom 8 by 4 by 4. It takes a vbuff build buffer. Oops. We just call it vbuff uint8 fbuff float transform of 3. Okay, so we do that. Maybe we don't have to separate uniforms because they're already bound. We do need to set the transform. 3fv 3. That's actually three vectors, I think, not 1 3 vector. No. STBvox get transform. Oh no, right. It does the whole encoding of this stuff. I forgot about that. Yeah, so it's a 3 by 3. Oops. Didn't want to change that. I wanted to change this. This one. That's a 3 by 3. Okay, then we bind to the Dyn vbuff, bind to the Dyn fbuff texture. We draw our arrays. It's to be GL use program 0. Anything else I gotta disable at this point? I don't know. GL disable GL alpha test. All right. Don't know if that's right. Still gotta do build small mesh now. So this guy is the one who actually interacts with STB voxel render. So it's going to live in this code that deals with STB voxel render, generate mesh. So we need an STB vox mesh maker. We need to init it. So where do we mesh maker init? STB vox, what is it called? STB. Yeah, okay. STB vox where do we knit these? Down here, when we create them. We create a thread, and at the beginning of the thread, we allocate a vertex buffer, face buffer. Oh, I never did this thing. They are always creating a new one every time they build. They don't bother reusing them. I don't think it matters too much for performance, but it could save you a tiny bit. It has to be Vox init Meshmaker. That's what I'm looking for. Doesn't actually do very much. Where didn't I start writing this function? I guess not. Build small mesh. There it is. Okay. Small mm. All right. So then, what do we actually do to set this stuff? We do one of these. Right. App equals SB box get. This all is all shared. I should move it up into a common thing. This is the init that I could be saving, not having to recompute every time, but currently I compute every time. Okay, this stuff. Block type and lighting. Is that the only things we set? Block type, lighting. Yeah, there's no separate rotation because rotation is baked into one of them. All right, so this gets vbuff. And how big is build size? It's passed in, so I don't know what that takes. I gotta look at the docs. Set buffer. Is it bytes? Doesn't document it. It's probably meant to be bytes then, because it's a void star. So that's normally what I would make that mean. So the size is num quads, which I forgot to pass in. I thought I build small mesh. Yeah, num quads is the second parameter. Where is it? There it is. Int num quads. All right, num quads. So num quads times 4 times 4. F buff. Num quads times 4. All right. Then the block type is mesh geom of 111. And then we need some dummy lighting. Dime lighting 444 equals. Need to figure out how do we set the lighting actually. It's a macro. I'm not sure if I think the lighting is storing the rotation as well. That's why I need to use the macro. Where's segment lighting coming from? There's a copy function here. Where do we copy it? Here it is. GCP or arrow lighting. All right, so let's go find GCP arrow lighting. We're just saying it's value of light. Ah, here it is. Make lighting Xed. All right. What happened to the array? Didn't I just define? Oh, this is draw. What build? Yep, okay. Oh, I can't statically initialize if I do that. All right. So that we can set address of dynelighting 111. All right. So once we set that, we set the input range and make the mesh. The input range is 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. Set the default mesh 0, make mesh. This should all be, all the MMs in this should be small mm. And then and you can see almost all of this can be statically initialized. Since this is a global, this is constant, this makes it constant. This is fixed, this fixed, 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 fixed. These change, although we could make them constants. This is the only one that's actually changing. Okay, then once we've made the mesh, we have a couple bits of cleanup to do. Have to do all this. So we need to know the coordinates, which we're not currently passing in. Why does it add 1 to world coord? I have no idea why it adds 1 there. That's a little worrisome. The bounds we don't care about. And then we return quad count. So this is how you use STB voxel render. That's the STB voxel render boiled down. Oh, I'll have errors. I'll definitely have errors in this. Although a lot of that was cut and paste, so maybe not that many. So that needs to be int, which means this has to be int. And then we have to pass in x, y, and z. We'll do this first. So we need that compute transform. That's the only reason we need it. And then what do we call it? Build small mesh. Okay. So this will have compilable errors, and it will also totally fail to run. It's going to be so spectacularly bad when I try to run it. And that'll take forever to debug. I didn't declare map. No, I did declare map. What's the bug? Okay, input descriptor. Different types for formal and these all need to be address small. And then should just search and replaced it. Selected to create. I left out the word block. Right, we changed these types. What type is it expecting? Void. Oh, it's expecting void stars. They should just expect void stars. Then I won't have to worry about that. Void dyne mesh. Too few actual parameters. I got passing the number quads. Main prog hasn't been declared yet. So let's move this whole function down further. Let's move that to the end. Okay, so now it'll crash spectacularly. I didn't even... Oh, it's defaults to having one. Voxel draw block. So try to do this. How does this crash? Oh, I never called the init function to initialize. Init dynemesh. That would help. Where's an init function in here? Okay, it's not crashing, but it's not working. And who knows why it's not working? It could be any of 10 million things. There's some state error. You see it turning black some of the time, depending on what I'm drawing last. That's just a state error in the, has nothing to do with this. I just never happen to hit it, I think, in the old stuff. I just forget to set GL color somewhere in this drawing code. UI rendering 2D. We set color 1. We set a color. We don't set a color here, but that one's inherited. I guess draw action bar should implicitly be setting colors. Then we set colors, we set colors. Let's find draw action bar. That's just calling UI row. Make sure draw UI row is always setting a color. Sets a color, sets a color, sets a color. Does not set a color. However, I don't think that was this bug. It's going to be some state bug, then not a color bug, because I didn't hit anything in here that would do that. Yeah, something is rendering black, and I don't know. That's weird. What's not getting drawn in this case? What's going out of view? Nothing is. What's coming into view? Nothing is. That doesn't make any sense. That seems to be more directional based than what I'm looking at based. That's very weird. Maybe bad textures being left on. And maybe this is in fact upsetting the state. So let's skip that, drawing that and see if. Yeah, okay, it's something to do with that rendering. Oh, so the looking up and down was determining whether this was trying to render or not. That's why. And it's obviously leaving some bad state. But we turn off program, disable alpha test. What else do we need to disable? GL active texture arb, GL texture 0. Maybe it was set to the wrong texture. That was breaking it. What is this setting? Why is this setting a void star? Oh, in dynebuff fbuff texture, yeah. GL bind texture, GL texture buffer arb 0, GL bind buffer arb, GL array buffer arb 0. Let's just clear those just in case. I assume this will still just not work. Okay, but I did fix that. Oh, but now the top left thing is not drawing some of the time, depending on if it's trying to draw the thing. Still leaving some state bad. Enable alpha test, disable alpha test. Enable vertex attribute array. Yeah, it's this stuff. This stuff all needed to be done here, and now it is. I just didn't do it correctly. Okay, we got that one, we got that one, we got that one, and we got that one. All right, so I think it's cleaning up all the state now. Okay, nothing seems broken, except that the new thing I added is not rendering anything. Okay, so First thing to do is see if it's trying to render anything. So let's look down and breakpoint in here. What is num quads? 2. Why would there be only 2 quads? The object should be 6 quads. Oh, I just went right by make mesh. That's all going to be super slow to go through. I don't know, which is the output? I need to actually step into this and see what it does. Okay, it's making a downward face. Getting the lighting. I didn't actually see it do anything. Where does it actually increment the... Must be in the color. No, that should have actually done it. Where did it actually... Why are none of these faces visible? I need to look at where computes visible faces. But I also missed... Where did it... Is this just a single face? No, this is the whole size. Alright, where's the down? That we saw it generate the down face. Okay, so we'll definitely hit here at some point. Nope, no, we're not hitting here. Oh, it's this down case. Okay. I haven't incremented anything, have I? Output cur mesh. Mesh. Do we pass mesh in? We do pass mesh in. So where do I update the output size? Mesh is the variable. Get quad vertex pointer, so that gets me the address I need to write to. Doesn't tell it to increment it though. Oh, who tells it to increment? All I wanted to see is it get incremented. Oh, this does increment. Okay, that's why. Okay, so is there a variable? Right here. Nope, that's a pointer. I don't see, how do we get the count? I don't know where the count comes from. Quad count. Oh, we do a pointer subtract. I think that's in bytes. So if that's the vertex, that's 4 vertices, which is 1 quad. So 32 bytes, 4 bytes per vertex is 8. 8 vertices, 2 quads. Okay, so that matches. Now, why are we only getting 2 quads? So now we can do those breakpoints, make sure we're in that mode, make mesh, break in, and make mesh for column. Okay, so if we get to here, we are on a block that definitely has some output. BT of Z plus BT of Z. Okay, so that claims that we're on a block type of 40. I don't think we're on a block type of 40. It doesn't seem right. In the world, it's like sand, which is a much smaller block type. Keep checking BR. We should be surrounded by zeros on all sides. Oh no, it's not sand, it's whatever block type we're currently trying to create, which is a conveyor belt. I'm so confused. Conveyor, 40, good, it's block type 40. But this should not also be 40. What is EW off? Did I never set the dimensions? No, I said it was input range 00111. Oh, input range is separate. The strides are separate. I forgot the strides. Yep, here we go. Input strides are 4 and 4 times 4. It's not drawing anything still. Numquad 6. All right. So it's almost correct. We're getting our 6 quads. I'm relying on the fact that the uniforms get set. Maybe they don't. Maybe I need to reset all my uniforms. Let's reset all the uniforms just in case. Float temp camp pause. Mem copy temp cam pause size of temp cam pause, and then set up uniforms. Oh yeah, I already had it. And we use temp cam pause now. Mem copy action parameter is not a pointer. Yep, that's correct. All right. I don't think this will make any difference, but just wanted to check it. Oh, you can see the compare. Oh, we're in wireframe mode. That's why. It's drawing the wireframe. Let's find the color. What is that in? That's in UI. We're not. Nobody's turning on wireframe mode, so that must be being done in main that calls this, which is a bug. Do UI render 3D. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do any of that. Well, disable lighting is fine. We're never using lighting. The lighting should just always be disabled the whole time. So that, and turning it back on, we'll leave modularized. So in the case where we're deleting the block, we do that. And in this case, we do nothing. All right, there we go. Now, if I pick a different thing, I do that. And if I pick a different thing, that one won't work. Driller will work. Yep, okay, that looks good. Let's make it partially transparent. I don't know that this works. I don't think we, yeah, because it's the voxel render stuff, so it doesn't use GL color. It does have a color that you can, a color palette that you can set. We could reserve one of the colors for the ghost blocks to make them transparent. We're currently just turning on alpha test. Need to turn that off. Yeah, where do we? So let me check that I don't need to set up the uniforms. I'm pretty sure I don't. No, I do. All right. I could have sworn uniforms were bound to the program, but so set up uniforms, sets the color table. No, it doesn't set the color table. Why doesn't it set the color table? Do we not use the color table? Why is that commented out? Oh, you get the default. We get the built-in default one. Okay, so float alpha. I don't know if the color table has alpha in it. Do we have a color table? Okay, let's check how big the color table is. I believe it's 64 entries. Color. Yeah, 64 entries. Vec4. All right, so let's have our own color table. And then color table of 0 of 3 equals alpha. We'll just always override it. Float color table 64 of 4. And the first value is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's the only entry we're using. Then we have to update the places that call it. This calls it with a 1.0f for the regular rendering, and this calls it with 0.4f. And it doesn't do anything. Now, that could be because it didn't do it right, or it could be because it's not actually using that alpha value. Or it could be that it's pre-multiplied alpha. No, I'd see a glitch there. I don't have alpha blending turned on, though. GL blend. GL enable blend. GL enable. GL blend. And in this case, we want to use non-pre-multiplied alpha, I think. Pre-multiply. yeah, defaults to non-pre-multiplied. Or does it? Okay, on the assumption that their inputs are pre-multiplied and the output should be. So none of them are for us, so that's fine. GL, I mean, and I could pre-multiply the colors if I needed to. Blend, func, GL source alpha, GL1 minus source alpha. Disable GL blend. And it's still not transparent. What else would I need to do to make it transparent? I turn on blending. Does anything turn it off? No. I put in 0.4 into the 0 color. We don't actually output a color because we don't get it. We're not passing in the color to anything. So everything should just be using color 0. Let's just go into the shader. And where do we use the color? Where do we fetch from the color table? Color ID. Color from the color table. Oh, it wants that to be in a texture buffer. No, I'm not using this path. That's if you want to, you can force them to come from a texture buffer, but I'm not. Because I just use uniforms. Well, that's for that one, but I'm pretty sure for everything. That was that function here. Yeah, these are all uniforms. So we're using uniforms. Okay. So it goes and ends up in color. Where does color get used? Right here. We multiply texture by it. All right. Let's set fragment alpha to 0.5 right here and see what happens. Of course, this will affect everything, not just the ghost. Okay, now the ghost is semi-transparent. The world is invisible. Oh, because it's set to alpha test. So we're set to 0.6. Okay, so this is about what we want it to look like. It's just hacked currently. So I just don't know why that's not getting in there. Text 1, color ID is not 0. What is this? Oh, it's to choose which textures to apply it to. We're only using one texture, and it just doesn't apply it to the texture because it's set to 0 because we don't have any color info going in. So we need some way to force that. STB voxel render. So the color ID, I think there was a to-do actually to have defaults for these, and I never got to it. All right, so where the color comes from, where do you guys load the color? I don't. Input description, right? Input description. So somewhere in input description, there should be something color-like. Color. Or block color. Block color I can search for better. Okay, so now let's find where it's used. Boom. Input block color mcall mcol, mcol. If none of these, mcol is set to whatever it was by default. Oh no, I see. Wait, loads mcol if it's non-zero, but face data color. So where does face data color come from? Face data is initialized to all zeros. All right, STP Vox mesh face. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. STP Vox default color. Just do it. It's an easy way. Are these all called configs when they're configuration? All right, where's the implementation? Implementation. If STVox default color define STVox default color 0. Okay, so this should not change anything. Be back to being broken or opaque. Okay, now we can change that in Meshmaker. 64. Okay, hopefully that works. All right, there we go. Our ghost blocks are ghosty. All right, let's check that in. Now we have to make things like the picker place. So let's draw block, is what that was called. Okay. So the picker rendering is in logistics. So if logistics render XYZ block type, we'll let the logistics rendering do it, and if not, then we hit a case that we don't know how to render. And that should be logistics draw block. And it ought to actually get the rotation correct. Think about it. We should pass in what our rotation is, and we try to get the rotation right so that when you place a thing, it shows the correct rotation. You have more than one vertex fragment shader. Is there a separate one for the text UI? So I'm still using OpenGL compatibility mode, which supports all the old fixed function stuff. So for some of this stuff, I don't even have shaders. Logistics. Draw block, return false. So I have a shader for the voxels. I have a shader for the picker, which has a custom vertex shader to do the animation. And everything else is fixed function, all the text and all the overlays and all the sprites and all that. But I could do them with just a single shader, a single. Sure. Actually, the text is drawn as part of something called STP Easy Font, and it draws with opaque, untextured quads, so you don't need a texture with the stuff in it. And there's a library that you can use in your own thing. It does not actually do the rendering for you. It just returns you a list of quads to draw. Right, it returns you a vertex buffer with a list of quads for you to draw. Okay, so I checked that in, right? Yeah. Let me check my mail here. Nothing important. Phishing from somebody pretending to be eBay. Or maybe it's really eBay. They're inviting me to protect my account. The link does seem to actually go to eBay. But who knows? Who knows if it's legit? All right. Delete the lunch email. Do I not have the shaders? The picker shader. I didn't do this in a string, did I? Didn't I do it in a file? It's object render. Yeah. They're not in this. Oh, there they are. Yep, so here's the vertex shader, and the fragment shader is trivial. The main thing, the main complexity is just generating the fog, doing the same fog function that I'm doing for the voxel, so all that matches. My sprite rendering, I don't actually do this. The sprite rendering isn't fogging, I think. Anyway, all right, so back to that. So that goes into this. And then in logistics, switch block type. All right, so I said I want to pass rotation in, so let me do that while I'm here. Voxel draw. Oh, I see it. There it is. Rot. This should be in the other order. Okay. So now all those are going to be wrong. So we find all the compile errors where we're missing them. Rot. Switch block type. This now takes a mesh lighting 444. Now the caller needs to set that up. Prayer 5. Oh. Why is that different? It's called mesh lighting now. Rot. Now we need, when we create, we have a rotation that we create at. We need to find out what that is. Mouse down, create block rotation. All right. Block rotation. This takes a rotation. Okay, so then mesh lighting 111 equals, this is mesh lighting. We need to grab the definition of MX. Oh, right, that was why. Yeah, because I don't have the, that computation has to happen here. So this equals block lighting with rotation for rot. Let's just fill out the whole thing every time. Light full block lighting with rotation 0 memset mesh lighting light, size of mesh lighting. Unit 8 full lighting. Let's just actually do this, thinking about it, in case we decide the lighting should be different. Full lighting with rotation. Lighting with rot, and white and rot. Goes in the header. And then mesh builder. Now we can actually define this. Return. Okay, so then let's find the definition of MX. Don't need that anymore. We need it here. Return. STB box. Make lighting. Next. Problem here is just that the definition of this depends on what various config variables you've set. And this is the only file where we set the config variables. We don't set them, we only set them for the one that's doing the implementation. We didn't bother setting it in the other ones. Which is fine for the way this is working, but all right. Line with rotation undefined, didn't I just put it? Oh, line with rot. Lining with rot. Lining with rot. Whatever. Rotation would be better. I don't know if I've ever broken that out in OBBG before. My multi-file search replace. All right, numquads, mesh geom, mesh lighting. Okay, now we're back to this. So now I want to see, let's claim that we succeeded so it doesn't fail. Now I want to see if rotation actually affects the ghost block. Rotate, 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 rotate. No, it's not. Okay, let's find the place where we call it. Rot is 0. Okay, rotate. Rot is still 0. It's the rotation is the whatever the last block was at. Okay, so now it should definitely be non-zero, but it's not. No, it is non-zero. It is non-zero, but the it's not getting into the. It's not showing in the ghost. Okay, so maybe this thing isn't what I thought it was. Maybe that's not how I'm passing rotation in. I thought that was how I passed rotation in, but I haven't actually done it. STB box make lighting. Maybe it's in the block type, but then the block type would only be 64-bit. Convert rot. GCP rotate. What's convert rot? Convert rot. Okay. It has to reverse the order. It's backwards from what our rotations mean. That's fine. But it is definitely in there as that parameter. If it's solid, then it's doing 0. Does that matter? And then rot is 0, 1, 2, 3. Should work. Should do something. It might be backwards, but it should do something. I don't understand. GCP rotate. Wait, what am I looking at? This is a mesh building. Oh, this is actually building a mesh. Right, of course. I need to let the mesh builders stop running. So once the total and cache number stops going up, then I can test this. Which is 560, I think, or 540? 540, okay. All right, so currently it should be at a different orientation. Griefforce. Okay. So go into the mesh maker, make mesh for face. We want the top face. It's this one. Let's rotate. Rotate face rot is 0. Which came from simple rot. Where did simple rot come from? Simple rot came from rot. Where did rot come from? These are all if it's not in the lighting. Where's when it is the, okay, here. It's this one. It's in the bottom bits of input lighting to V off. So what is input lighting V off? 252. Looks like it set it to 0. Lighting with rotation, 255 comma rot. What is mesh lighting in 1 comma 1? It's 252. Why did it not apply the rot value? What's rot? 1. How did this not work? Okay, now the way rotation works, if I hit R, it doesn't actually do anything, because that's I haven't tuned this stuff. So if I press R to rotate the existing one, and then this is backwards, like I predicted it would be backwards. Okay, so that needs to be flipped in that function we just looked at. This one, this needs to compute. 0 goes to 0, 3 goes to 1. So that's 4 minus rot and 3, I think. I used a table for some reason in the other code. And then if I rotate, okay, good. All right, so now we're getting the rotation correct. Let's go ahead and commit that. I don't know how long the first stream was, since I went to lunch. See if I can look at the VOD, see how long the VOD was. 2:57, 3 hours. So the first one was 3 hours, and now we've been 2 hours on this one. All right. So, so now we have that rotated correctly, and so now we want to draw the picker and draw the picker correctly. So we have a logistics render draw block. So we're going to say case bt picker draw picker simple at xyz comma rot. And then case bt balancer draw balancer simple xyz rot, where simple is shorthand for ghost. And actually, since we need to set the alpha, let's actually do it as ghost. All right. So those are just to fork this logic, then somewhere we draw them. Where do we actually draw the pickers? I'm already past it. Logistics render. Okay, so right before logistics render, we'll do void draw picker. X, int, y, int, z, int, rot, float, alpha, and then we'll have void draw balancer int x, int y, int z, int rot float alpha, and then I guess instead of these being ghosts, we'll just call this. Four. 0.4. All right. Draw picker. So now, when we actually draw a picker, what do? We call add draw picker with the bone state. So do x, so 0.5, y plus 0.5, z without the plus 0.5 rot bone state. Okay? And then the draw picker, does it take a color at all? No, it's manually computing a bogus lighting color from its normal, and it does not take an input color at all. So I need to pass in an input color that it can use to colorize. But it's instancing it, and I actually want this different per instance, so I need to use the instance data. So in the vertex shader, I want, so I'm going to have to add a whole nother set of fields unless I use one of the bone values, but I think they're all being used currently. Yeah, they are. Okay, so we can use a uniform because it's a separate draw call. But we'll go ahead and put it in the vertex shader rather than the pixel shader. No, I guess I'll do it in the pixel shader. Okay, so uniform. Call it recolor just to call it something. Color.rgba times equals recolor.rgba. Then where the picker rendering is, it's in main. Oh, no, it's in object render. Right here. Draw picker. Alpha. Now float recolor of 4 equals 1.0, 1.0, 1.0 alpha. Where do I set the uniforms? Uniform for FV. Recolor 1, comma. Oh, can't call it that. All right. Oh, draw picker already exists. So this needs to be one picker. We still need a bone state. So bone states. Picker. Just do that. And what is this accessing? It's accessing pause. Float pause equals 0.75. Drop on pickup We won't use float bone state of 4. Okay, so then we need to wait. How is that? Why is that not giving a compile error? Draw a picker. Main must have it externed locally. Yep. Bad, 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 bad. Because that is now float alpha. Okay, and then this happens here, and then we draw the sprites. We actually want this debug render to happen. It doesn't want to draw in front of thing. Like if you have sprites, it shouldn't draw in front of the sprites. So we actually need to do this a little differently. Well, if the sprites are alpha testing, it'll be fine, actually. So we can still get away with this. Okay, now the problem is that it doesn't actually ever flush the draw picker. So in UI.c, do rendering 3D, flush the draw pickers again at 0.4. No idea if this will work. Okay, so then bring this up, put this at 4. Okay, and then again, I can't rotate. Oh, this one I can rotate. Oh, because I'm rotating the block behind it. So goofy. Okay, I need to actually change how our conception of rotation works. It's not ghosting. So that's the thing. So now, draw picker. And object render. Also needs to... It's not touching blend. It looks like it's not touching blend. It's not touching blend. Okay. So this needs to do it. GL enable GL blend GL blend mode GL source alpha GL1 minus source alpha draw picker blend func. So then we, I should switch this back so I don't have to keep reselecting these. 3. Okay, yep, now it's transparent. It's not very clear which end is which, but that's okay, I can live with that. Until I redo the artwork to be clear. Why is this stuff going crazy speed? Oh, I must have turned on the fast forward mode. Oh, I accidentally hit tab. Alright, that looks pretty good. That's the only machine that matters. There's also the balancer. That's the only other machine that's not a block. So we can consider that done unless I want to do the balancer. I did put in the code framework for it. So I guess I'll do that. Doesn't matter very much because it's not the real art for the balancer. That's in logistics. Draw a balancer. Oh, I'm already at it. So here it's the fallback thing here. So it's just this. And why does it not set the color? Okay, because it sets it here. For f comma alpha, and just to make this usable, if alpha plus equal 1, gl enable gl blend func gl source alpha gl1 minus source alpha else gl disable gl blend, and then gl disable gl blend, so its state is stable, and then this needs to be x plus 0.5, y plus 0.5, z. All right. And then that's rot. All right. And then I want to have the action bar block type default to having a bunch of stuff on it. Let's put the ore at the beginning, then the picker and the drill, and then the conveyors. And I said I think this was 10 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's 9. All right. So now we have that block, that block, that, the drill, conveyor, 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 and then, oops, I wanted the splitter. No, the bouncer. Oh, the bouncer isn't even, I never made an icon for the bouncer. So I can't even test the bouncer because I don't have an icon for it. Let's load a dummy icon for the bouncer. And then we need to add it to the inventory. If it's not already there. Balancer. Alright, so then there's the balancer. We'll put it into that slot. We select that slot, and it ain't right at all. Okay, so it was going through the wrong path. The voxel path was recognizing it, so balancer. I thought there was nothing in here for this. Yeah, just that. Oh, we default these. I know. I mentioned that it wasn't being explicitly set here. And the reason it has to be explicitly set here is because we set all of them to solid by default. And so if it's not solid, we have to actually explicitly do the empty. And all these ones being set to solid, let me just use 0. All the ones being set to solid are actually redundant because we forced all of them to solid up front. Okay, so now maybe it'll go through the right path. Where's my, that one? Alright. So then I was going to do this. I was going to drag this to here. Then I was going to select it. Okay, and that's our balancer. It's drawn at the wrong height for some reason. The balancer is drawing here, and this one's drawing on the ground. I guess I should check why, instead of letting that go. Draw a balancer, draw a box, 0, 0, 0.25, 1, 1, 0, 0.2, 0.5. Why would that be at the wrong height? Oh, it's a belt machine. I changed this. 0.75 to 0.5. Isn't the 0.5, isn't that a height? Not a position? Shouldn't that only be 0.25? Is that extending above the ground? Is the balancer actually off the ground? Off the top of the block? No. I don't really understand how that... Why is it 0.75, not 0.5? It's odd. Okay, so then if I bring that up, drag it in, select it, Yep, it's drawing exactly the same. Why that's correct, I don't know, but it is drawing exactly the same. So we're saying, look, we can put a balancer here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Why is that? Draw box. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. Draw box. Size. It's SXSY. We have it and go from, oh, because it's from the center. It's from the center. Okay, not from the bottom. Right. So it's a 5. It's half tall, centered on 3/4. That makes perfect sense. All right. So we got that rendering. So we got everything rendering as Ghostbox now. CMirror is not what I want to run, but I might as well run it. That's actually good to run it. I haven't run it in a little bit with the backup machine on. Okay, let's actually run what I meant to run, which is git diff. Yeah, so ghost git commit.a, ghost pickers and balancers. All right, now it's still a little redundant. There's a certain amount of redundancy that you have to do. When you add a new machine rendering, you'll have to add it in 2 places, and that's why I started to do this draw picker, draw balancers, because I'd like to combine this code. And I think the draw balancer I can combine actually as is. Case BT balancer. That's a belt machine. Draw balancer x plus ml pos dot unpacked dot x base y ml pos dot unpacked dot y base z plus m pos unpacked dot z comma m rot comma 1.0. All right. So if you make it work that way, you can share that code. And yeah, the balancer still looks the same. You can't even tell it's using a different code path. All right. The picker, I'm not going to bother to do that because of the bone state. I guess I could. Is the bone state just derived from pause? No, it uses a couple things. It uses pause and drop on pickup. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and merge that into. So that code moves up, and then we say draw one picker with that, and release the 0.5s because they get added in the function, and rot. And then instead of bone state being passed in, we're going to pass in pause and drop on pickup. Oops, I added this to the wrong line. Okay. So then go back to this version that used both pause and drop on pickup. Where's pause? I don't even see pausing. Oh, I see vestibular. So that's this part. And now we don't need this. Pause, float, drop on pickup. And we were using 7.5. Draw one picker. This needs to pass in the alpha. This needs to pass. Oh, wait, the pickers don't need the alpha because it's actually the alpha is drawn in the alpha is actually applied in the draw thing. We don't actually use the alpha. Okay, but this needs to pass in pause and drop on pickoff, which is pause was 0.75 and drop on pickoff was 0.0. Okay, so now that code is actually shared. Draw one picker. let's replace draw picker with draw pickers flush. And then try to build and make sure we didn't break anything with that refactor. Okay. And let's check the rendering. The pickers are still working correctly. And if I bring a picker down, oh, I already have it. 3, and they're still rendering. Okay. Voila. Okay. Yeah, I have the window open because it was too hot otherwise. So what did we do today? Ghost. Placement. Ghost blocks. Now I'd still like to polish up like being able to drag conveyor belts out and stuff. So maybe that's what to do next. Let's see, we're at 5.5 hours, including the first stream. Yeah, I'm still doing Win32 because VC6 doesn't. VC6 was before 64-bit x86 existed. They didn't even know about it. This is in the era when 64-bit meant the dumb Intel architecture that I can't even remember the name of now. And so yeah, I switched the OS to 64-bit, but I have not switched compilers, so I still have to compile in 32-bit. Make sure I think I just made a little change there. I should check in. Yeah. All right, so I could do that UI polish. What else is on my to-do? So we're partway to the real inventory. So yeah, I can do the real inventory. That's a like creative mode selection. I can do actual inventory, which will still use a lot of the same code. Or maybe I'll stop for the day. Oh, here's the ghosts. So I did part of this. Did the ghost shapes. I have not done place and drag, and I have not dealt with the rotation madness. Whew. And yeah, I have my mic turned up pretty loud so that I don't have to stick my head right up to it, and that does pick up a lot of crap. I think it's a reasonable place to stop. So I think I'll stop for the day. I can't predict whether I'm going to stream over the weekend like I did last weekend. I do need to upload everything. I need to install a video editor because the last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe it was, I tried to stream and it just kept getting interrupted. There was a bad networking thing. And so the stream ended up in like 8 pieces, and I need to manually assemble those all before I upload. And so I need to install my video editor on this machine and then do that editing to get that up and then upload everything since. So that's why nothing's been uploaded to YouTube. Obviously, the VODs stick around for a couple weeks, so you can watch those. So I don't know if I'm going to stream again this weekend like I did last weekend. It looks like I'm pretty much trying to stick to streaming every Friday, and then also streaming other days if I feel like it. I guess if I stream like 6 hours on Friday every week, I'll actually be outrunning Handmade Hero, which is kind of crazy. That was never my intention, but that's actually a good thing to ever get anything done on this game. So so yeah, I'll take some questions before I stop the stream if people have questions that are a little more serious than the one I'm ignoring. What do I do as a full-time job? I'm a programmer at a company called Rad Game Tools. We make software that's used by game companies to make their games. Basically filling in some stuff that's not fun to do on your own, that you don't leverage. That it's a lot better if we leverage it across a lot of companies, if our company does the work and lots of companies use it. So the main thing that we're famously known for is Bink, the movie playback thing that's used for cutscenes and intro logos and stuff like that. That pretty much everybody uses. There's a bit of a some options now, but because it's cross-platform, if you're on a cross-platform title, it's usually a lot easier to just use Bink than to try to use the PS4 movie playback API that they have built in, and then the Xbox one that's built into that, and then trying to find something that works on Windows. So a lot of people use that. I work on Iggy, which is a user interface tool that uses, you author your user interface in Flash, and then in game, my software basically plays back the Flash. It's a Flash player for consoles and stuff, but focused on UI. So, we just sell our software to game companies. We don't sell it, we don't directly interact with game players, and we don't make games or whatever. I used to be a game programmer working at a company that made games back many years ago. Linux gaming movement. Do you plan to support Linux in your current project? There is a Linux build for this. We resynced a couple weeks ago to make sure it was up to date. I just added a new file, the UI.c, today, so it'll be a little out of sync in the current version until somebody fixes that. But I don't test Linux. I'm not particularly active in it. The market is just really small for commercial titles, so most people have found it's not worth the effort to do a port to Linux when they're doing a commercial title. The return on investment there is just not worth it. It's not a value judgment of what Linux is. It's just the reality of what game sales is. It's a Win32 app, I believe. Let's see. What do I do when I do? I say new project. Oh yeah, Win32 application. That's the one I use. What's a custom? Oh, custom app wizard. Yeah, I just go straight to application. These two are the only ones I ever use. Does the logistic network work when you are far away and the logistics are not loaded? We talked about this a bit in one of the earlier streams. At the moment, they do not. At the moment, I don't know that any of this is actually, I don't think any of this works correctly. There's the logistics network isn't really saved out properly. There's kind of a hack for how that stuff is saved. But we were talking about that, and I was saying I think maybe the right thing to do is to always keep the logistics network loaded. It is a totally different data structure. And if we always keep it loaded, then we are limited in how big, I'm not planning on doing multiplayer, but you could imagine the multiplayer world where everyone has their own factory and it's this huge, gigantic thing. And if you stick to only making it work, this is totally redundant to what I did before, but if you stick to it only runs the stuff that's loaded, the logistics network is self-synchronizing normally. The types of stuff we're going to make, it shouldn't have situations where when part of it isn't running, it gets out of sync and can't recover. So it shouldn't be the end of the world if you did that. It would just mean stuff doesn't happen. But the design intent is that everything should always be running. And we'll maybe go down that path of just keeping everything always loaded, avoid the whole sparse loading, so that you can make gigantic factories that, cross across the map, as long as they fit in 200 megs or whatever. Then the question becomes, can it tick 200 megs worth of factory fast enough? And the whole system is designed to try to make that stuff efficient. But it does have the problem that it's, ticking, say, every 16 frames, whatever that is, 116 into 64. So about once every 4 times a second, it's ticking. But the problem is it's doing that on the main rendering thread. So if that tick takes a long time, it doesn't get a quarter second to do that tick. It has to still complete in the 60th of a second or whatever. And maybe it will. I don't know. I designed it to be fast. I have no idea what 200 megs is. Will 200 megs take a 60th of a second or take 5 seconds? I just don't even know. I can't even imagine. There is a path you could go down. If it takes a quarter of a second, you could try to go down a path where the factory ticking happens on a second thread and updates the state asynchronously in some way, which would be pretty gross, and I hope not to go down that path. So the main limit on how big your factory can be may in fact turn out to be how long it takes to tick, not the memory usage. Is the web's move away from Flash affecting us using games? Yeah, that's just getting into my work stuff that I don't really care to talk about very much here. But yeah, I'm currently working on a sequel to the product that I have at my job, and that one doesn't use Flash, but not exactly for the same reason. So yeah, who knows? How many programmers is there at Rad Game Tools? Let's not go to, you can find that info out there, I'm pretty sure, but let's not. I try to keep I try to keep my Twitter and the game programming STB stuff from not talking about Rad very much. Not because I'm embarrassed about Rad or because Rad wants to keep it secret. It's more actually sort of the opposite. I want people to know they can come to the stream, and I'm not trying to sell them my Rad products or whatever. So I want to kind of stay away from Rad stuff. Why VS 6.0 and not the latest version? If you scroll down on the Twitch webpage, there's a FAQ, and it has a very brief answer and a link to a video that answers it in more detail. Okay, I've caught up on all the questions, unless I missed one, in which case you can repeat it. I'm going to stop the stream, and I will answer questions in text for just a little bit more in chat. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.